Hello, guys. Surprised to see me. I'm hoping you guys haven't been surprised to see me. Uh, for all those who are new, and for all those who have been patiently waiting, I've been out of the comic book review game for a while. The review game for a while, not out the comic game. I've kept up on everything that's been going on. But basically, you can kind of say, yeah, this is the triumphant return, actually. Um, it's yours truly, Mom Vernon Kid. How's everybody doing out there? Back, basically back. Uh, and pretty much, guys, we have since the last time I did a review in terms of my pull, uh, we have seen a lot transpire over the comics in a while, and there's been some good things and been some bad things, and I've been seeing all from this happening on Earth 2, which has been really good. I've kind of dropped Batman, actually, guys, from my pull until the whole year one stuff, whatever that's going on, is ended. I've been up with everything that's been going on, from what's been going on with the trial of Jean Grey. That's been really good. Will I be reviewing that? I I took basically a couple of books that I wanted to review, kind of just to get my teeth sunk back into it, in a sense, into the review game for a while. Not a lot. I can tell you right now, there's not a lot of DC. Actually, there's only one actually that I wanted to talk about. Um, Independent, Marvel. That's about it. But there's gonna be a lot of things different to for on this channel. A lot for me. It's gonna be all about reviews. That's all this is about. But there's going to be some things that'll be There will be some things that'll be changing. For example, besides my main pull list, there will be. I'm going to start reviewing titles that I purchased from a site called IndiePlanet.com, where it's pretty much a site that's just all about indie comics. And I'm wanted, as always, you know me, guys. I always want to show some love to the indies, especially those indie comics companies that are really kind of not really out there yet. They're still climbing that mountain of recognition and things like that. And I want to kind of do my part in praising those people who put their hard-earned time into that. So you kind of saw me actually review a comic that I purchased from Indie Planet, and that was a while ago. You probably have to go back. It was a comic called Midnight Tiger. I really enjoyed that title, and I can't wait to see what more that comes out of there. So yes, but definitely there's going to be some things changing for things like that. Another thing you will see me review soon, whenever I finish reading them, is oops, sorry. First off, you will see me review basically uh, sh- uh, Shotaro Inshimori's classic creation, but I've always loved the series. And this bad boy right here, basically, Cyber Cyborg 009. I purchased this not too long ago, I think a week ago. I finally got my hands on it, and usually I don't do a lot of graphic novels, guys, but this was something that I really wanted to pick up. I love the cover. You get to see Joe, or Cyborg 009 on the cover. Um, the interior is cool. The artwork is done by Marcus 2. Um, and I can't wait to finish reading this, and I'll review it as well. So that's one thing you'll actually see me review when I get a chance, as well as finally I got my hands on this bad boy too, and that's Die 1,000 Years of Death. Yeah, yeah. Street Fighter Origins, Akuma or Goki, whatever. Finally got my hands on this bad boy. We get to see the origin of Goki or Akuma from Udon. We get to see how this man became a monster, and can't wait to finish. I've flipped through it to see the artwork. Artwork is beautiful as always, and looking forward to that as well. So definitely you'll see me review this bad boy as well. All right. So yeah, you're gonna see me review that stuff. You're gonna see me review those two graphics. Will I review any more graphic novels? I think a lot of people probably ask me, am I gonna get that graphic novel that's coming out about the X-Men? I'm not sure because I'm not a big uh, Mike Carey fan, so I'm not really sure about that one. The other graphic novel I think I want to review is the Spider-Man that supposedly deals with Peter Parker having a sister. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting as well. But I ran off the mouth in terms of what's to come in the future for this channel, and in a sense saying, yeah, I'm back. I am pretty much back, guys. And I know you guys have been patiently waiting this, so here I am. You know, bow to me. No, I'm just messing with you, man. But no, I'm pretty much back. Um, and like I said, I took out a couple of books. Like I said, I've been still in the game. It's just I haven't been putting out reviews. That's all. So I took out a few books that I wanted to just get my feet wet again, and you just guys just tell me how I did. So like I said, took out a few books. Well, I guess you can call that a few. Uh, but no, I just wanted to start with a little something something. Um, so a lot of number ones actually, and I definitely wanted to start off with DC because of the fact that yeah, I've been reading everything that's been coming out of DC, but you know, Green Arrow has been great, things like that. But Green Arrow, certain Batman titles, Batgirl has been. You know me, I'm a Gail Simone fanboy, um, but I really wanted to talk about this character because I do like her. She's one of my favorites under female DC villainess or whatever you want to call her, or she's trying to go straight. But I've been loving the Harley Quinn series that Amanda Conner and Jim Palomino has been doing. I thought it was funny. It's just a fun book of showing Harley in pretty much my neck of the woods, New York. She's in Brooklyn. She's living in Coney Island. She has her own place. She has to earn ends meet pretty much by she just recently got she does part-time roller derby, and she now has a job doing what she did before she went batshit crazy. But there's some interesting people interesting, supporting cast. But there's also a bounty on her head, as we all know. So that's kind of what's been going on with Harley. But in terms of basically Harley Quinn #3, this was kind of the Valentine's Day special issue, and this is just fun. It's just a fun-loving book, guys. Harley is she doesn't like she doesn't like Valentine's Day. She's walking on the boardwalk of Coney Island, and she's seeing all the lovey-dovey couples kissing, and she's like, Shh, get a room. And she's pretty much kind of miserable because she doesn't have her pudding around. So it's kind of like, yeah, she doesn't like it, and she sees one of her tenants because she runs this called Big Tony. Yeah, pretty much, and he's kind of miserable himself. The recent issue 2, had Harley and Ivy back together for a time. She came out to see how she was doing and things like that. I was like, okay, that's cool. And Ivy left her some presents for her apartment, and one of them was Ivy left her some plants that also had like these little seedlings, and they smelt good, and they look like cherries basically. And Harley basically eats one of them, and basically that was a big no-no because Once she finds out that she's got the psychiatry job, she kind of is like, okay, it's time for me to go out and just celebrate and such. So Harley gets dressed up. She gets dressed up, and she look, and she goes out and she's just walking around, and all of a sudden she starts talking to people, certain people, and they start literally falling for her and trying to kiss her and things like. It gets really wonky and crazy, even to the point there's uh, pretty much a bus full of convicts coming through, and the bus crashes, and they get out, and Harley speaks, and they all kind of fall in love, but they have more of a perverted love for her, and they start chasing her, and she's like, it's Harley. What do we expect? From Harley what she's gonna do. You kind of should know where her mindset's going. It's almost like run or defend. And unfortunately for Harley, we all know what happens there. And it's really funny. It's just a real fun issue. Like I said, Amanda Conner and Jim Palmiola, Money does a really good job on this issue. It was fun. Like I said, just keep up the good work on this. This is just a fun title. That's all it is. It's not really to be taken too seriously. It's just to have fun. If you're a Harley fan, you're gonna love that stuff. Okay. So what I decided also to do is go through the independent stuff that I just took out. And the first one I want to talk about is we roll into Dynamite. Excuse me. We roll into Dynamite, guys, and pretty much this is a character that I love. He is a character that I recently talked about in terms of one of my favorite. He is one of my favorite Native American characters, and I was glad to see that basically Dynamite and Gold Key come together and bring some of the Gold Key characters to the front line again. And once again, that is none other than Torok, Dinosaur Hunter. Torok is one of my favorite Native American characters, being the fact that I am half Native American, and I have to. And it's very much prideful for me to support my brethren, even though we are not of the same tribe, in terms of that. But still, it's really fun to me to support Torok, and I love that cover. That cover is just so badass. The artwork in here by Miriko Kolak is pretty decent. It's pretty decent. Greg Pak does the writing. Very, very interesting indeed. From this perspective, Torok is kind of the outcast of his tribe. Where he kind of lives outside of the tribal land. It's not out there. He kind of keeps to himself. He is pretty much one with nature. That's cool. Though his other fellow tribesmen kind of look at him as a witch, like he's cursed. They call him names. They always want to try to beat him up and things like that. And Torok, he's not having that. He's like, that you're not. I may live outside and kind of be the outcast, but you're not gonna be beating me up, things like that. It kind of all stems from his parents, and I'm not gonna really go into too much of it, but it gets kind of crazy until the certain lizards start coming into the factor, and also strangers that finally come in contact with his tribe, which is really cool. You kind of get to see this takes place way back in time. It's not like modern or anything like that. No, it's way back. Basically, I'm not even gonna lie, where that is. It's basically Manhattan before it was colonized by the Dutch and everybody like that. It's back then, and really good. A really good start to this title. Very much. I really enjoyed it. Greg Pak goes with the flow very well. it really kind of, in a sense, you really start to feel for Turok. You're like, okay, why is he? You really start to question, like, why is he an outcast? Like, what did his parents do to make him like, to make people feel that he's this way? You know, I don't see any differences between him and his other fellow tribesmen. They just seem to be almost on that bully routine, and but unlike Turok, who is the bullier, the bullery, or the person that gets bullied, he is going to push back, and he shows that. But unfortunately, all shit just goes to hell afterwards, and shit hits the fan. But other than that, good start to Turok. Number one, good stuff. All right. Okay. I'm gonna talk about these in two parts, basically, because I really wanted to talk about this title as well. Like I said, guys, I just pulled some titles out. It's, I just pulled some stuff out just to talk about, in a sense, and but I'll be back on my routine later on, next time. Pretty much, guys, the next title I want to talk about comes from Dark Horse Comics, and it's basically the first two issues of Skyman. Here's issue one, Skyman. If you could see that, issue one and issue two. We have Joshua Hale, Fabio, Falavok. I hope I'm saying your name right, sir, and Manuel Garcia, basically doing the artwork. And pretty much the tagline is basically they tried to make a perfect weapon, but they got a hero instead. Now, this character, Skyman, actually appeared in another title that I read for Dark Horse called Captain Midnight. And unfortunately, in that one, this is a new Captain Skyman after the first one kind of went batshit crazy. And you kind of see that in this. Basically, he is the original Skyman. Basically, is kind of a racist. The Skyman project by the government is supposed to be top secret. It's almost like Captain America Project Operation Rebirth, Project Rebirth, everything like that, but a little bit different. And in a sense, everybody sees what the old Skyman does, nearly killed somebody, and they know that they can't, they got to try to clean this up, they got to do some things. So they try to get a new Skyman, and in the form of a veteran of the Afghanistan war who comes back. He's a Marine. He's pretty much paraplegic. He crashed, and the crash shattered his spine. But he's learning he's taking a step one at a time, trying to learn back how to walk again. And yeah, he is African American. He's African American, and unfortunately, he gets kind of brought into this. And when he becomes Skyman with all the technology, it helps him actually walk again. He can actually walk. The belt buckle that you see here is kind of gives him like the ability to walk, and over time, the more he uses it, the more it would heal him. All the technology that he has, it actually heals him in a sense. It makes him stronger, things like that, and everything like that. And unfortunately, he starts to realize that he's kind of later on, and especially in the second issue right here, he finds out that he's just a pawn in this. He's kind of like they're just using him while they do a lot of wet work to take out enemies, and he's not having that. He's because a lot of people have been innocent of getting hurt, and he's like, that's you're not going to do that. So what does he do is he steals the Skyman suit, and he basically steals it and runs away from the government in a sense. And it kind of that gives you kind of a sense of you can see where his character is. I believe his name is Michael. What is his name again? I don't want to remember his name. Like I said, guys, I don't rehearse this stuff, so I just go off the top of my head. But his name is let me see, what is his name again? His name is Sergeant Eric Reed, and he basically steals the costume. He steals the outfit, the suit, because he realizes that the government's kind of, the people that he's supposed to be working for are kind of like just using him. Now, I've seen this story before. I've seen this story before, but we've seen stuff like this before. But once again, as I've always said, it's how you tell the story, even if you've seen it before. It's how you showcase it. And from the first two issues, not bad, not bad at all. It's Eric is a character you kind of can get behind, not just for sympathetic reasons of, because if he's paraplegic, he's basically, from the waist down, he can't walk, he walks on crutches, but just his character alone kind of makes you like, okay, I can respect his character. I respect that. I respect the fact that he wants to do the right thing. He wants to be a hero, but he's not going to be anybody's pawn or puppet, even if it is his own government. So I respect that, and I thought this was really good. Skyman number 1 or 2. If I do kind of recommend these. Do you have to read Captain Midnight to understand? No, not really. You don't. It kind of has its own place. Issue 1 is a good jump on point, and you're just like, okay, it gives you kind of a backstory into the Skyman project program and everything like that, and you're fine with it. But it's good. It's very good indeed. All right. The other titles that I wanted to talk about, excuse me. The other titles that I wanted to talk about is they come from Black Dog Inc. And pretty much it is a title that kind of caught my attention. I saw this and I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I'm going to give this a shot. And basically, that title, well, is called Ursa Minor, not Ursa Major, but the artwork in here is really good. It's pretty good. The writer is called Tom Hutchinson, and the artwork is done by Ian Schneider. And this is issue 1 right here, guys, that I just showed you. Here's issue 1. Issue 2 and issue 3. Now, basically, when I started reading this, when I started to read this, I was like, in a sense, I'm like, this is starting to remind me of True Blood, because it's like vampires are kind of the outcasts. People know about vampires, but they're the outcasts. They're being hunted down by their mortal enemies, the werewolves. However, with the Lycos and the vampires, there's also another factor involved in this. The bears. Bears. Can you believe that? And one of them is this character right here, this blonde right here. Forgetting her name right now. But she can turn into a bear. Oh, it's like a werewolf, but she can turn into, they call it a werebear. And it's really interesting because vampires all live pretty much, they want equality, but the humans are kind of, in a sense, or like they don't really care too much. But they live all in Alaska. That's where the vampires live. Like, they live in Alaska. And they got an embassy out there and everything like that, and it's kind of crazy. But it is a war between, of course, the vampires and werewolves. It's pretty much simple. And then you got other factors involved in it, like I said. And it's just an interesting ride. It's really interesting. kind of caught me off guard because I was reading the first issue and I was just like, okay, this is interesting. I want to see more where this goes. So I picked up the first three issues in a sense, and I was just like, okay, this is fun. And the fact that Dracula is in this, they do recognize that Dracula is the oldest and first of the vampires, but the fact is, yes, Dracula is still around. He's still alive. He's almost like we see him in the castle of the embassy of the vampire embassy, and he's like on blood IVs, and it's almost like he's like old. He's really old, and kind of like if you go blink, he'll break until. And so it's like the vampires are really like serving him and on their knees, bowing to him because in a sense he's the first. And but it was fun, and there are some key players in here for the humans, like for example this Red Riding Hood like character right here on the cover. She they play off the fact of that a lot of the old grim fairy tale stories like Little Red Riding Hood have a bit of truth to them, and that's where this character comes from. And she is no joke. She's like, we humans want nothing to do with you vampires. We're not cowards, but we're not your friends, and we're not your enemies. So don't ask for help. And it was just like, whoa, okay, that was interesting. But Ursa Minor, very good. I thought it was fun. It's really good. So I give Mr. Hutchison and all the people behind this title good stuff. Okay, so yeah. Now the rest, I would say, oops, sorry. The rest is pretty much all Marvel, guys. So what do I want to talk about for some Marvel titles? Like I said, everything from Amazing X-Men has been great. Like I said, I didn't pull out everything. I just pulled out some. I just picked up some stuff and just wanted to read it. So I'm just going to talk about some recent stuff and some older stuff, but a lot of number ones in here. So let's talk about this. I think what I'll do is go through some titles. All right, like I said, and I saw what I pulled out. Okay, all right. So first off, Avengers World. Jonathan Hickman, Nick Spencer, Stefanos Castillo does the artwork here. Basically, guys, with Avengers World, if you haven't been seeing other reviewers talk about this, it's basically putting the spotlight on the other Avengers that are more lesser known. And in this issue, it's the basic rule of this is now the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. are really kind of have this cooperative relationship now. And basically, the Gorgon basically is on Madripoor, and he is somehow with the hand, and he's summoning something. And then that's one story. Something is going on with Hawkeye, Starman, Night Mask, and Spider-Woman in Vienna, Italy. And then you have Smasher, Cannonball, and Sunspot dealing with AIM. And it all intertwines together, which is really cool. And Smasher, Cannonball, and Sunspot get captured by AIM, and that's how that ends, which pretty much leaves into issue 2, where we see Smasher on the cover. There she go. That's the new Smasher of the Imperial Guard. And pretty much in this issue, once again, Hickman does a good job. It's always slow build, but it's really good. And we're seeing them be kind of captured by the AIM. And because AIM now has their own island and everything like that, and it's growing. It's growing to the fact that if what I remember was Bruce Banner saying it's nearly the size of Florida now, and that's unlikely. It's kind of, but we also get to see what's been going on with Hawkeye and the rest of them, because one of the younger member, Starband, actually touches an artifact that he wasn't supposed to touch. Hawkeye told him not to touch it, and they get sucked into it. In a sense, that's what's going on in Italy. Um, and it pretty much leads with Smasher kind of falling into the hands of AIM, which I don't really want to spoil too much. But then we go back to Madripoor with what's going on with um, Wolverine and Black Widow and I'm forgetting the other person, Shang-Chi, and Shang-Chi, of course, and things like that. What's going on with the Gorgon? And we find out that it is basically, we find out in this issue, issue 3, here, where we have Shang-Chi and the Gorgon actually duking it out. This was pretty much showcased a lot. Shang taking it to the Gorgon in this. We find out in this issue alone that Madripoor, the island nation of Madripoor, was built on top of a ancient dragon. I'm not joking about that, guys. You want to see it? I'll show it to you right now. And the Gorgon summons it, and the dragon comes out, and Madripoor is still on top of its head. If I can show it to you, let me see if I can show it. There you go. There's the dragon. That's Madripoor. You see Madripoor on top of its head, and pretty much that's what happened. And it's only a few Avengers there. Like I said, Black Widow, Wolverine, Falcon, and Shang-Chi, and pretty much it's basically everything. If you are a Shang-Chi fan, you're gonna love this issue because it showcases just who Shang-Chi is and what this man can do. This was a great fight between him and the Gorgon. Will I spoil what happened? There's to the point is, does Shang-Chi lose the fight, or does he win, or does he beat? I'm not gonna spoil that. You just gotta find out for yourself. But if you want to be spoiled, message me and I'll tell you. But to me personally, good fight. The outcome of it was believable. I was like, I could see that. But other than that, like I said, that's only one. If I can be politically correct, I would say round one goes to that person. Uh, I could say round one goes to that person, but it's not over. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, Shang was using all his training, all the martial arts training he knows, talking about some of the people that he used, he will invoke in terms of gain strength from. It's really cool. The fight scene was really well done. It was very believable how Shang was fighting the Gorgon. You gotta remember, the Gorgon is a mutant, and he can turn people into stone. That's his mutant power. He also has a healing factor. This is the same guy that killed Wolverine during the Enemy of State story arc way back when, and Wolverine became a part of the Hand and everything like that. So you got to hold that in account as well. But Avengers World #3, this was really good. Hickman did a bang-up job with that fight scene. I was really impressed very much. And once again, it was good to showcase a great character like Shang-Chi. I like Shang-Chi. Very underrated. And it showcased truly why he's one of the greatest martial artists in the Marvel Universe. Good stuff like that. All right. Let's see what else I wanted to get out of the way once again. Let's get some of these #1s. I know I picked up a lot of #1s that I wanted to talk about, and I know a lot of people probably wanted to hear my thoughts on this bad boy. I gave my thoughts to some people, but like I said, I just picked up titles. I didn't. So basically, Ms. Marvel #1. I know a lot of people probably want to hear me talk about this. I very much support this book because I talked about it before and was glad to hear that they're bringing back Ms. Marvel. But the fact is, she is of um, Middle Eastern descent. She's Islamic and Muslim, and I'm like, that's great. You know, I'm cool with that. I got no problem with that. And I want to show a lot of credit to the writers and the artwork. I dug the artwork. I really did. Um, Trying to let me get the names so I don't mess up the names. Oh crap. Um. Okay. Pretty much. G. Willow Wilson. Who Willis Wilson, who did the writing. Very good. And the artwork is done by Adrian Al Alfani Alfana Alfona. Hope I'm saying your name right. This was just a very good introduction to Kal Makan. Basically, it was a really good introduction of showcasing who she is. Who is Kalma? Who is she? Who is uh, Kamala? Yeah, Kamala. There we go. Who is she? What is she? You know, what is she like? What is her likes? What is her dislikes? What is her dislikes? What is she all about? What's going on in this head of hers? And basically, in a sense, she she's one of us. You know, she's talking about her fan fiction writing has over 1,000 pluses on, well, not fanfiction.com, but a made up fan fiction site. You know, and her mom is like, what? Like things like that. She is born in the United States, but she is raised in the, you know, beliefs and everything like that. And she's kind of, in a sense, looking at the end, looking in and looking out from what she wants to be and what kind of her parents and everybody around her want her to be. And you kind of play up that notion of like, it's tradition meets modern era. Like, okay, you have this, you have that. She's trying to be what she wants to do, in a sense. You know, she can't go to parties and she can't eat the certain foods and things like that. And you can understand that very much. And I really enjoyed that, how they showcased that, because it wasn't supposed to come off as being stereotypically racist or stupid. It was just showcasing that this is kind of the life sometimes, even if you are from another culture, but you are born here, and but you want to try to be like the everyday American teenager. And that's what we saw from Kamala. She's just trying to be that until something happens to her. She gets a certain mist, which is basically the results of the Terrigen mist that happened um, you know, basically in the last event. Just off the top of my head, I can't remember right now, but with we see that we're starting to see that, and she kind of gets, that's where she kind of gets her powers from. She's one of those reborn Inhumans that we've seen before in previous issues of other titles like Fearless Defenders and stuff like that, which once again was a good series that we should didn't end. But I dug this very much. It was fun, and I look forward to reading this. I support this very much. I said right away, once I heard about this, I was like, this is going on my pull. And I was glad I got a chance to talk about it, guys. You know, I've talked to other people. I said, yeah, that was good and everything like that. But yeah, this was good. Um, Very good indeed. Okay. Let's go to another number one that I wanted to talk about. Um, She-Hulk, number one. This is, I believe, the third or fourth volume for She-Hulk. Charles Soule does the writing, and how do you Javer uh, Pulido, I believe that's does the. Let me make sure. I don't want to butcher these names as much. I know I butcher names sometimes, guys. You know. All right. Let's see. Uh, Javer Pulido. Yeah, I've said it right. With all due respect to Mr. Pulido, um, I'm not gonna lie. The artwork I did not like. I did not like the artwork. Um, I don't like when you draw Jen looking like she is a man. Yeah, pretty much. Jen looks like a man sometimes. When she smiles, there's a scene in this book where she's right next to Tony Stark smiling. They look like identical twins, and I'm like, oh no, ugh, you know. But the writing was actually really good. Once again, you know, we kind of get to see, She-Hulk, Jennifer, doing what she used to do before she became the Jade Glamazon. Um, she's a lawyer. She's an attorney. And I love the beginning of the issue where she thinks the law firm she works for, she's thinking she's going to get a raise. They come in and tell her like, well, you're not getting a raise because even though due to the amount of money that we're paying you and certain things like that, but even still, you're almost in a sense they blatantly was saying like, you really, what you're here to do really is bring in clients to us because we got She-Hulk, you're eye candy, and we're also supposed to bring in a lot of your famous hero friends to be clients and stuff that may need it. And Jen is like, oh hell no, no 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 no, screw you, that's not why I'm here. You're basically discrediting my work as an attorney. And she's like, okay, I quit, like I quit. And when she's leaving, she overhears them still talking about it. So I love when Jen comes back in and she's like, okay, well, she's like, what did you say this desk was from again? Madripoor, right? Handcrafted. One finger, pink, breaks the thing. And I'm like, you're like, way to go, Jen. And she takes a case in here, and it's kind of her going up against Tony Stark's attorney that Tony Stark doesn't know anything about because he's like in his own world at times. But it was just a fun ride, very entertaining. I thought Charles Soule did a good job with the writing, but it's the artwork that kind of just, I'll show it to you guys. That kind of just really kind of irked me from time to time. I didn't like the droopy eye look as well. Okay, here you go. Here you go. Look at Jen. Look at her. Like really? That's just not right. Um, okay. Look at that. Look at Jen. If you can see that. That's Tony Stark in the down there. See, that's Tony Stark. That's Iron Man. Now look at Jen. It's like come on. Like, I would have loved to see an artist come on that would have done her justice, would have done Jen really good justice in terms of capturing our love for She-Hulk. If you like She-Hulk, you're gonna appreciate this. That's why I got this, because I like She-Hulk. Um, and I support She-Hulk, so I'm gonna support the book. But yeah, the artwork is it's kind of like with Ms. Marvel, with Captain Marvel. It was like the writing was great. It's the artwork that just really irked me, and that's what this book is. It's the writing is great, but then it's that artwork. It's just like, like they gotta. I know that you want to give everybody a chance and things like that, new artists, but with Jen, she is literally, yes, she is the Jade, the Emerald Amazon. So you gotta capture that sensationalness of She-Hulk. You know, don't have her be very muscular, but have her be that fitness type look. And certain people get it right, and certain people don't. And that, my friends, is what I'm talking about. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. Another. I know I got a couple of number ones in here, guys. Like I said. Um, yeah. X Force #1. Because I kind of dropped out of X Force when it was beginning again, so I was like, let me try it again. Because the team kind of caught me, caught me off, not caught me off guard, but I kind of was like, okay, this looks interesting. Okay, Cable, Psylocke, Femamax, Spiral. I was like, whoa, Spiral. Like, she was depowered. So I was kind of interesting about that. Um, and I'm looking at it like, okay, so with X Force, it was always about they're supposed to be like the Black Ops defenders of the mutants. They're supposed to make sure that mutants have a stake in the future and everything like that. And that's what Cable kind of comes off in this. He's very militant now. He's really militant in this. And excuse me, he's very militant, and you know he's how he approaches everything now. The artwork, Simon Spurrier is the writer. Good start for me. The artwork done by Rock Hee Kim, I actually dug this artwork. I thought it was really cool. It had a very manga s feel to it, anime s feel to it. You can see right here that here you go, like Spiral, she looks way different. You know, she looks really different. She looks very Asian, you know, things like that. Sarah, you know, that's Spiral's real name. Um, and basically, what it is the fact is, yes, the world is changing, of course, and Cable, and they kind of bring that up. Is like they keep asking Cable, like, okay, so what is this X Force purpose? What are they? What is the purpose of this? And Cable even just basically says, you know, it's not about, you know, defending mutants and things like that in the shadows. It's more about making sure they have a spot, a niche in the future, so they're not just rubbed out in a sense. And also a lot of cases where things are happening, weapons, super weapons are coming out, and they want to make sure, Cable wants to make sure everything is copacetic with mutant race. Um, Basically, still, Psylocke in this is still kind of trying to hold up to that no-kill rule. She kind of kills somebody in this, and Phantomax is being a dick about it. You know, he's kind of, Phantomax is basically saying, Machete, come on, it's in your blood, see, and you know, and she's just like, oh, would you shut up, and you know, I love this title, this issue, because we're getting it really from Marrow's perspective. She's kind of telling what's going on. But the real case, I think a lot of people say, okay, how is Meryl using her mutant powers if she is depowered? Because we all knew Meryl, she was able to use her bones. Like, she could pull her bones out. She had uh, abnormal bone growth. She could use them. They could come out, things like that. Um, and we kind of see that. And basically, we find out because of Dr. Nemesis, um, basically, he pretty much creates an inhibitor. There's a piece of, there's something that Spiral wears on top of her head. If you can get it, I'll show you it right here. If you look carefully here, you see that band on her head? That pretty much is an inhibitor, and it's almost, in a sense, it's artificially re-invoking her former mutant powers, and we kind of see like she has to keep it on, but once she takes it off, it's almost like her mutant powers kick in, and she's able to use her bone powers again. Like she'll start seeing her, for example, um, here I can show you right here. She takes it off, and you see the bones coming out of her knuckles, and then she jumps out the window when they're doing a mission, and she goes all bony. She comes out, and so she kind of still her bones look more like knives, but it's just the way the artwork is drawn. But this was actually a very interesting take. I, for one, personally enjoyed it for what it was, and I'm like, okay, I want to see where this goes and go into more detail, especially for Spiral, in a sense of like how she's looking at, because in her eyes, she's looking at this like, as she said it, um, it's like a musical theme to her. It's amped up, it's just going up. That amped up, that amp is just getting, the amplifier is getting higher, 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 and she's loving it. It's kind of a big turnaround from Spiral, from where we saw her before when she was a part of X-Cell, which was that uh, former mutant terrorist group that was led by Callisto, when pretty much they were blaming the government for mutants getting depowered. So it's really different, and she's loving the hell out of this. While Psylocke is there for Cable. Cable's gotten very more militant and kind of more on the, he's kind of coming off a little bit more like classic Nick Fury, not his son. And Phantomax is basically there as almost like he's the French guy almost. He's just that French asshole that you just want to put a bullet in sometimes. You're just like, oh, would you shut up? And that's kind of what he's kind of there for in a sense. But it comes off really well in a sense. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun indeed. Uh, so I hope you guys are still with me. Like I said, I just pulled out stuff, guys. I apologize. Next week, I definitely will try to be more organized as well. But I definitely wanted to talk about this title that's been just only has 2 issues now, but all new Invaders 1 and 2. Um, James Robinson, we saw him kill it on Earth 2, and Tom Taylor now is just killing it, still doing it. Dang up job. We got the old band back together. We got the band. It's like the Beatles. It's like the Beatles coming back together. It's like the you get all the Beatles back together, and you got Cap, you got Bucky, Jim Hammond, and Namor back together, and we kind of see what's been going on with certain characters. For example, Jim Hammond, where he has been after we last saw him in Secret Avengers, prior to uh, the restart of it, when Nick Fury Jr. came on board and everything like that. He has been living in a small town in Illinois, and he works at a gas station. He's a mechanic there and everything like that. And it's a small town, like where everybody knows you and everything like that. And out of the blue, he gets attacked. He comes back, and there's a Kree having one of his friends down, his boss down, and it's almost to the point. Okay, now I got to figure out what's going on. Everybody, and this Kree female is a what is her name? Tarath, the pursuer. She's pretty much like Ronan the accuser in a sense. Very powerful, and she shoots Jim with some sort of memory, and we start to see Jim's starting to go back to time back to the war, whereas him, Bucky, Namor, no Toro, his partner, and not Cap, but another guy called Major Liberty, and he's like, what is this? I don't remember this. This is, and other people are seeing this. It's not just him. Namor is seeing this. He's starting to see Namor in the vision that is actually watching this as well as Bucky. And he's like, okay, what's going on? Why? And it's really interesting. It's like, okay, what is this? We see that the Nazis found some kind of weapon that pretty much was able to have them control gods. And they were controlling Hela, the Norse god of death. Basically, she was being controlled by the Nazis, and they were telling her, kill this guy, and she was just like, yes, master. And it was just like, whoa, what is this? And you know, Jim is like, what the hell? Like, what was that? But he's also trying to keep the people that he knows in this town alive. And we also go back and we go to somewhere else. We got Bucky being, once again, um, we go from that and we go to this where Bucky is, he saw that same vision, but he's being chased down by a Kree hit squad as well. And, he contacts Cap. And, he's like, hey Steve, like, hey, I need you. He's like, I wouldn't break protocol if it wasn't important. He's like, Steve makes a joke like, hey Bucky, Steve, aren't you supposed to be dead, or we're supposed to make believe the world believe you are dead? And he's like, I wouldn't break protocol if I didn't need to. Kree warriors are hunting me down. I don't know what's going on, and it kind of goes back and forth and it kind of leads up to where the end of issue 1 leaves off, where Cap and Bucky are now in where helping out Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch, and it pretty much they kind of take out. This is the Kree war that I'm talking about. We found out that the weaponry that they are talking about is Kree technology. It was created by them, and it crash landed on Earth, and pretty much they want to know where it is. They want it back, and there's some things in there that just really kind of like, whoa, and Bucky starts to tell, they start to tell Cap, like, you weren't on this mission with us. It's like, okay, this is a story, a mission where the invaders, they weren't all together at one point. At one point, it was just Bucky, Jim Hammond, Namor, and this other guy called Major Victory, I believe that was his name. And he's kind of like I would say he's almost like a knockoff of Uncle Sam. But he dresses like somebody from the 17th century. He's like, he's from the year 1776, and he gains the people the power of the Americans of that time. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But Bucky and them saying he was kind of a dick. He's really a dick, arrogant prick. I didn't like him. And they kind of apologized to Steve. They're like, we're sorry we didn't tell you. And Steve's like, it's okay. Apology accepted, things like that. But we have to find Namor, and they know where Namor is. Namor is on Hala, the Kree homeworld, and being tortured by the Kree Supreme, and it's like, I love the line that Steve uses. They're like, a lot of people that are not in our situation would have probably said, screw Namor, leave him, if the Kree want to dissect him, let him be, just do it. But we're not, we're different. He's kind of like our responsibility, so we got to go get him. And that's pretty much where the issue 2 ends with this, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. But I thought James Rollins did a good job. I thought this was fun. It's good to see the band back together, the old school heroes back together, the invaders. This was the only, like I said, the only characters. There are some characters missing, but some of them are dead, of course. But it's good to see, Steve, Bucky, and Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch, back together. Fun stuff. All right. Like I said, guys, I hope you guys are still with me. Um, uh, gotta talk about this. Um, Probably one of the greatest anti-heroes ever created, the Punisher. 1 and 2. So, Edmondson does a bang-up job, in my opinion, with Frank Castle. Basically, Frank has left New York. He's on the West Coast. He's hunting down a drug terrorist group. You know, he's hunting them down, trying to stop them from bringing in drugs into LA and things like that. We get to see kind of a little bit of a side of Frank in this series that we don't really get to see too much. Like, he's not just always being judge, jury, and the Punisher. You know, he's just hunting down people. He's actually taking time. He's hanging out like at a diner in East LA. You know, and he's kind of interacting with certain people and things like that. It's like, okay, but then when he's still doing his mission, he's badass. He's still the Punisher that we all know. It's like, you know, motherfucker, you know, it's like, you know, it's not going to be a good day if you run into him. There's a guy in this that the artist, Gerads, I hope I'm saying his name right, draws one of these, I believe it's like a cartel. Draws this guy looking, I swear to you, he looks like Danny Trejo. I'm not joking. He looks just like him, and Frank is like, you know, he wants to know information when the shipment's coming in and things like that. And, you know, the guy's like, oh, please don't hurt me, please. And Frank got a shotgun to his head. And he puts his hand up in front of Frank's shotgun, like, please, please. And Frank just shoots his fingers right off with the shotgun. I was like, and I looked, once I read that, I'm like, you stupid idiot. And not only does and they're on a boat in the river. And what happens later on is he puts them in the river, and there's crocodiles and gators in that river, and throws them right in there and just lets them die. And so it's still to the point, you know, he's still trying to figure out, you know, when's this drug cartel, and they're moving this product and everything like that into LA. We also get to find out who's supplying Frank now with weapons. And this guy's name is, he's kind of like Microchip. He's like Chip, but he's different. He's a military contact. He's basically called Tugs. That's his name, Tugs. And he supplies Frank with all the weaponry, things like that. It's still just Punisher that you know and love. He's still that Punisher. He's still that badass that you fuck with him, your ass is dead. You know, it's not to the point of like, oh, he's going soft. No, he's still kicking ass. He's just on the West Coast now. But even though he's tracking down this cartel, this stuff, the hunter is the hunted. We find out later on, in this 2 issues that Punisher's being hunted by the all new Howling Commandos. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So it's almost like now they're just like Frank. They're military, Marines. So they know how he thinks, and they're tracking him down. This issue right here, the ending, who Frank is going to be going up against next, I was just like, what? Like, when is this dude? When did he go to LA? You know, I'm not going to spoil who it is, but I will tell you right now who that character, like, he's from a famous rogues gallery, Spider-Man's rogues gallery. Now, you got to do your research on that and figure out who I'm talking about. But it was like, whoa, okay, Frank, how are you going to do against this guy? So yeah, it was fun. All right. The next one I wanted to talk about is Another one that Edmondson has been doing as well. Bang up job. The first 2 issues I read for it, I loved it. I like where they're going with this character for a new solo series for her, and Noto's artwork is very good for this character. Of course, I'm talking about Miss Natasha Ronava, Black Widow. This is issue 3 right here. Issue 2, 1 and 2 was great. Basically, we kind of, in a sense, is basically showcasing what Black Widow is doing when she's not working with the Avengers or working with Shield. She is. I love how Edmondson put it, is like she's still trying to atone for her dark past, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Now, has that been done before? Yeah, once again, it has been, but once again, it's how you approach it, and I've been liking this. In this issue, Natasha is in, she's in South America, and she is breaking into a jail and to break out a prisoner who is falsely accused of crime she didn't commit. He didn't commit. From her contact, she's kind of doing these cases and things like that. And it's just a fun, fast ride of like a prison break issue. And now, does she get that person out of the jail? Yes. But there's some other details into the factor, especially in who's bringing him in and everything, that Natasha's like, okay, you may be innocent, but I know your associate. He's familiar. He's done some bad things. So once again, Natasha's mindset is almost to the point like, okay, you may, but I'm going to take down your partner. And we kind of see that in this. We also get to see she needs to go do a case for Shield. Maria Hill comes in. It seems now that, once again, for those who don't know, Maria Hill now is officially now the true director of Shield. Now, it was Quake. I wish they had kept it with Quake, as I wish Daisy Johnson Quake was still the director of Shield, not Maria Hill. I thought it was great to have Quake. Maria Hill was just she was just out there, like she was like the acting director, but now it's Maria Hill, and bring her in. But the one thing I did like was what Natasha did to her neighbor's, I guess, husband or boyfriend that beats up on her. I love that, and I'm gonna read it. I gotta read it. It is so funny. It's not funny, but it's so much like Natasha to say. She basically says to this guy, um, she comes in, she comes from her mission before she needs to go with Shield. She goes to her apartment and she knocks on her neighbor's door, and the girl, because she saw her have a black eye. The woman's name is Anna, and she knocks on her door, and the girl says, Natasha, she just says, move aside, Anna. Goes in, and her boyfriend is basically like, how did you do, and Natasha just side kicks this guy's head right into the wall. Like, she just takes her leg and wow. And then I love the line that she says, I'm gotta read it because it's so good. She basically says, I'm a cold-hearted person, so I'm gonna make this quick and simple. If you touch that woman again, I will put my foot through your spine so fast you won't realize what happened before you wake up paralyzed, sucking sour milk through a straw. And then she says something in Russian, and he just says, and I was like, that's Natalia, right? That is Natasha. That's just exactly what she would say. Especially, you think that she doesn't care about somebody, but the people she does care about, she will protect you, and we kind of see that. And I love that line where she says, uh, you know, home is wherever you are. And Mr. Edmondson, Mr. Edmondson does a good job with this. This has been a really good title, guys. If you are a fan of Black Widow, I do recommend. It's not too late to jump on board with this title. It's only 3 issues in. Very fun. I've been enjoying it very much. All right. So yeah, that was another title that I just took out. Uh, I'll leave this for last because I've got a lot to talk about with that one. But so besides the Avengers, besides the big, the Avengers, you know me, guys. I do read a lot of the Avengers titles, and one of them is Mighty Avengers. So what's been going on with Luke's team? Yes, Luke is back, so it's great. We have seen some things go down. First of all, the new Ronin. I'm telling you right now, I know who that is underneath that outfit. I'm not going to spoil who it is. I talked about it before, but it's a certain character. Marvel just did a bad job of. I know who it is, but once again, the title. Al Ewing has been doing a good job with the title, and we are 6 issues in on this new volume of Mighty Avengers. But the past issues we've seen the Avengers fight Shao Goth, and it was basically Blue Marvel took him out just like that. We've seen a breakdown between a lot of the heroes and fucking Ock basically being a dick, things like that, and Luke and them are not playing with them. They're like, yo, what is your problem now? Because they don't know. And there's a fight between them, Luke and Spider-Man, and that Ock. I'm not saying Spider-Man, everything like that. There's a fight between them in, I believe that was issue 5, I believe. And so, but Luke now and his team now have acknowledged they are a team. They have moved into a new place in Brooklyn, and this is just a kind of a issue. This is issue 6, where it's just a lot of it's not a lot of action. It's more dialogue heavy, but it's really kind of a sit down between Luke Cage and Blue Marvel, uh, um, Adam Basshair. Al Ewing does the artwork, and we have Shikiti doing the artwork. Now, it's not Greg Land. It's not the tracer doing artwork. Thank God, because I was so tired of him doing that artwork. It's like I can't stand that everybody freaking smiles, even in combat. I'm like, oh my God. But in this issue, we just see kind of the differences between Luke and Blue Marvel, like where they stand in terms of how they look at the world, also how they look at each other in a sense. It's like Luke went this way and Blue Marvel went that way, and it's kind of like, okay, this and this and that, and they're in Luke's apartment. They're fixing up, cleaning up stuff. Danny. It was good to see Iron Fist. He's there helping out, and he's got little baby Danielle, and he's focusing his chi. And Jessica's like, Danny, don't hypnotize the baby, and he's like, it's just a light show. It's not gonna hurt her. It was really funny. We got White Tiger. She's there helping out, and it was just fun, and we saw that. But in the meantime, we also see this guy he's scared. He's running from something. He jumps into a cab and he's like, just drive. And the guy's like, okay, where to, Mac? And he's like, just drive. And all along, he's getting freaked out about these pigeons. And we find out why. And it's the Falcon. As you all know, Falcon can communicate with birds. And the birds are leading him right to, and you see Falcon just he's just watching. And then it's almost like the birds led him to them. And we find out there's some other matter to it, reason why Falcon has been tracking this guy down, and it all leads to what the next issue is going to be about, which I don't want to spoil, but it does involve White Tiger. The other thing that was really funny was seeing Monica Rambeau and She-Hulk and uh, Victor Alvarez, the new Power Man. They're on Liberty Island and they're doing a little bit of training, you know, with Victor, and what people are coming up to Monica and She-Hulk, want to take pictures with them, and one of the girls is like, you know, my daughter is a big fan of you, and you know Monica's like, oh, thank you, you know, she's thinking like, okay, well, you know, she's probably gonna, you know, say you're a role model for her, but she's talking about Monica's hair, and she's like, really, like, she's like, my little daughter used to fuss and do temper tantrums when I just tried to um what did she say? Strain her hair? No, straighten her hair, like straighten her hair with. And she's like, and then Victor kind of makes a joke like, yeah, and I hope I'm a better role model than you, when you know. And she's just like, shut up, Victor. It was so funny, but this was a really strong issue in terms of like setting the groundwork of where this team is. They they are Avengers, and but they're a different kind of Avengers that are more of there for the people that need them. Like they open up shop and things like that. But they're not like the Heroes for Hire. But they don't take money. You come in for help and they'll help out. But other than that, it was just fun. It was a good issue. The artwork is really good. It was I can tolerate it. It wasn't I could tolerate it. It was much better than that goddamn land. I'm not joking about that. But very fun issue indeed. Uh, Mighty Avengers #6. Uh, good stuff. An epic struggle for the truth. It was, because like I said, Luke is really trying to figure out why Blue Marvel kind of, in a sense, quit being a hero. He wants to know why. And, there's, like I said, there's a difference in age, of course, where they grew up. Because in this, they're implying that Luke grew up in the 80s. And Blue Marvel told him, he even says it, where did you grow up, Mr. Cage? You grew up in the 80s, right, Mr. Cage? And Luke's like, and then he says, well, I grew up during the Great Depression. And it's like, you can see the differences and things like that. But if they're trying to say Luke grew up in the 80s, so Luke is just in his 30s, in a sense. If that's the case, he would have to be in his 30s instead of his, if you take it from the 70s, his early 40s or so. So, but it was fun. It was fun. New Warriors #1. Of course, you know me, guys. I pretty much have every New Warriors run. I'm a big fan of the New Warriors, and Chris Yost does this as Marcus 2 does the artwork, and this was a fun issue, very fun. Good, straightforward issue, really. If you don't know the characters, this is where you get to know them. Most of them, people you should know, but you kind of get a sense of where they are now. Like, what are they doing now? And we get to see Justice and Speedball, what they're doing. They're in New Salem, Colorado, and New Salem is like a place where all magical individuals go for like safety, and a lot of people there are children of the devil, and they're trying to make peace with that. And that's where Justice and Robbie Baldwin, aka Speedball, we get to see where Arancy and Kane are. They're in Mexico, and she's trying to get Kane to be a hero, like and Kane is like more like I don't want to do that, she even tries to go on the whole with great power, and he's like, that's Spider-Man's idea. It's not my routine. Remember, all the power, none of the responsibilities. Remember, and we kind of get to see that. We get to see the new Sun Girl. Now, a lot of people think this character Sun Girl is new, She's not new. She's just a newer version of a classic golden age hero from back in the days. Once again, that's just me being the geek that I am. And we get to see the Atlantean character. What is her name? Um, Farah Nora Namora, I believe that's her name. She comes up, surface dwellers. I seek heroes, and it was like, whoa, okay. You know, it's just makes you. We haven't got to see the other Inhuman character because he's an Inhuman right here. This guy's an Inhuman, but everybody else we've seen. Um, even Sam Alexander, which I don't care really for. Yes, guys, I don't. But the one thing I did like about this is that they really addressed the fact that the New Warriors have gotten a bad rap. Once again, screw Marvel for doing that. You know, uh, Justice is talking to one of the uh, what is it? He's talking to one of the individuals from New Salem about it, who are heroes there, and he's basically saying like, despite all the things we have done, the New Warriors have done, even saved the world a couple of times, we always get that one bad rap. And she even said it, where you guys blew up blew up Stamford, Connecticut, and it's just like, and that stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, I hate that. I hated the fact when Marvel did it the first time. I hated when Marvel used the New Warriors as the cannon fodder, as the instigators of that damn Civil War. You know, I hated it because the New Warriors was a is good a good team, and even once again, Justice even brings it up now. He's even saying like, and even in this Avengers world, in a sense, where do we stand in this? Like, why should we get back together? You know, it kind of contemplates that, and you're looking at that, and you're like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's like, why are all these other new teams, where do they stand? Where the Avengers like the big leagues now, you know? And you got to remember is that Justice is a mutant, so it kind of like, which I always don't like, is that just because you're a mutant, that automatically says, oh, then you belong with the X-Men because you're a mutant. You belong. No, I feel that's wrong, and we kind of get to see that from Justice's perspective, and I thought that was really fine work that Chris Yelts did. Um, we also get to see who the big bad is going to be in this title. Not going to spoil who that is, but it's a character that has been villain and kind of hero in a sense, anti-hero. But I will tell you where he comes from. Starts with a W and it ends in gore. There you go. And the last book I took out, once again, is 50 Years Without Fear. Once again, congratulations to Daredevil. 50 years he's been around. Congratulations. Daredevil 36. This is the last before they relaunch it back to #1. Marvel, I am sick and tired of that. I like you. I like you, Marvel. I really do. You have my favorite hero under your banner. But the one thing I cannot tolerate and I'm getting sick of is you renumbering everything back to #1 for no damn reason. And this basically is, I don't know why the next issue just couldn't be 37. But of course, Mark, it's been a long time since I said this, Mark Magic Wade does a good job on this. Has this been done before? Yes, but it's all about the execution, and we get to see that, yes, oath-wise, Matt tells everybody, I am Daredevil. Always have been, always will be. So because basically someone was blackmailing him to do a case for them. Um, if you haven't been reading, and he was like, if you don't do it, then I'm going to tell the world that you're Daredevil. So Matt did it first, but he knew there was going to be consequences to this, and because of that, there were some major consequences for Matt and many of his supporting cast in terms of Foggy and people like that, and Karen and all these other people that worked for him. Basically, even though he did the right thing, he was disbarred. He cannot practice law in New York. And in a sense, that makes you kind of like, okay, that was Matt's day job. And I love the speech of where he basically he knew he would say it. And, it's to the point like a lot of people were asking him, just like, he even says like, look, it, we kind of, in our community, talking about the hero community, like the identity is kind of it's still sacred to us. We wear the mask, is sacred, but in this age of this internet age, in a sense, he talks about, it's like, yeah, it's easy somebody to figure out who we are, in a sense, like somebody sees us changing and they can take a picture, put it on Facebook, put it on the internet, hey, this is who this is. And he talks about other heroes that came out of, he says Tony Stark is, he made himself, he basically came out. He went on to talk about Steve Rogers now, as everybody knows that Captain America is Steve Rogers. It's like, okay, yeah, it's true, but still, they don't know where Steve Rogers lives. They don't know that. But he kind of, a code of conduct, ethic, and things like that. And it just really you kind of understand where Matt was coming from and why he did it. And when he said it, you see other heroes watching it, like Fantastic Four, Natasha. She's had a sniper rifle when she heard it. She's like, what? Captain America and Spider-Woman is there. Tony's watching this. I'm not sure which Spider-Man that was watching it. And a lot of people, and they even said like, oh, Matt, like, this is going to complicate things. But even though he did save the day, especially at the end, there's still the fact of the matter is this cover kind of explains a lot. This is not like false. This kind of does happen. He can't work law in New York. So it's kind of to the point why he's making the move to San Francisco. Because Matt did live out in San Francisco for a while, and he can still kind of practice law out there, because he was doing it for a while. And Karen actually says, like, basically, like, he's like, so you just want me to just pack up and move and try to practice, start all over in on a new coast. And she kind of like, unless you're scared, and it's like, okay, I'm Daredevil, I'm the man without fear, okay. But it was good. This was good, but I still, like I said, I don't. Why are you renumbering it? It shouldn't be renumbered. It shouldn't be going back to number one. Still glad to see Wade will be doing the writing, and he says he's going to bring in a lot of lesser known West Coast heroes that are there, and they're not going to like the fact that Matt is there. But this was really, really good, and I really enjoyed it very much. Okay, so I hope you guys, how did I do, guys? Do I still got it? But other than that, guys, I will see you next time. Definitely. Definitely will be episode 120, actually, for my comic reviews. I will be back kind of on my natural routine again. But like I said, if there's any questions that you want to ask me in terms of, okay, how can you do this? Like I said, I just picked up some things, guys. I just wanted to get my feet wet again. I took a lot of titles that came out this week or last week, the 19th, but I will be back next week. Definitely, you will see me review um, Gail Simone because her Tomb Raider title comes out next week. I'm definitely gonna review that. You know that's gonna be on there. So Gail, if you're watching, yeah, I'm gonna be reviewing your title. But like I said, a lot of stuff coming, guys. Like I said before, some things are going to be coming, but also the fact, stay tuned for reviews for Street Fighter Origins, Kuma, and Cyborg 009. You'll see me review those as well sometime in the future. But other than that, guys, you guys take care. And this is my running kid. It's good to be back. In a sense, guys. And I know you, and for all those who are watching, thank you for patiently waiting. I also want to give a shout out to Fat Side Comics. Mark, if you're watching, dude, happy belated birthday. I apologize, I forgot to wish you happy birthday on Facebook. Sorry. But happy birthday. As always, you guys, you know me. Follow me. You know where to follow me. Once again, shout outs to everybody. Of course, my bro, Blue Goblin. Hope he's feeling better. He's been under the weather for a while. But other than that, you guys take care, and I will see you guys next time. Bang.